Soundzreel Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jack.
And on today's show, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're usually, review concert shows and movies or music or whatever. This time we want to give the viewers a little background about us. Kind of our influences, what our likes, what we went through, our ties to the music community, and our overall purpose of why we're doing this. So I'm going to hand it over to Jack first. His take on his
My
background.
experience, right?
Your experiences.
Okay, so basically, I just want to talk a little bit about how I'm connected to the music scene, how we're both connected to the music scene, and where we got this love of music, this love of horror, this love of the movies, and all this other good stuff. So I'm going to take it all the way back to about 1974, and I don't care about my age. I don't care for showing it.
He's putting it out there, guys.
Yeah. So we always grew. Me personally, well, both of us. We grew up with a lot of music around us. Our parents would always listen to it.
Oh, by the way, guys, sorry. We're brothers.
Oh, that's
so just
right.
let you know. So
yes, we're brothers.
It's not like we're in a community home or something like that.
Yeah. So I grew up with a lot of music, with our parents playing it when they got home, on the weekends, when they would clean, when they have parties, and a lot of it was disco.
They had parties.
Yeah, boy, they did. And a lot of the music was, the sign of the times, the music of the time. So I grew up with a lot of disco. My first 45 album was Carl Douglas, Kung Fu Fighting. Yes.
And not just the group was, but...
Yeah, Kung Fu Fighting. But everything changed in about 1977.
Good year.
It was a good year, and it was a very memorable Christmas for me because I received my first rock album that changed my life forever. There was a little band out at the time called Kiss, and I got Kiss Alive 2. And I listened to that almost night and day. I was a big Kiss fan. I was part of the Kiss Army, all that good stuff. Fast forward, I started listening to a little bit more of the hard rock stuff that was going on at the time. I became heavily influenced, I did later on, but I became heavily into Queen. And I believe that was about 1981 or so where I got their first Greatest Hits album. I was listening to their stuff a lot. But what kind of changed me, what kind of introduced me to the whole heavy metal scene was there was a neighbor across the street. When we had moved, he was a little bit older. He was in college at the time, and he introduced me to Rainbow, Black Sabbath. It was a lot of old 70s metal stuff, Judas Priest.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And he actually gave me Rainbow's Long Live Rock and Roll, and I still have his. He wrote his name inside the album sleeve of the cover. And I just fell in love with that style of music at that point. So at that point, I was kind of like just listening to that older 70s stuff. But I started listening to The Q. And there were many, many nights where I would stay up just waiting for that special one song to come on. And I would press record as soon as I hit it, or if they announced it, we're going to play AC/DC, and you would record a lot of your music on cassettes at that time.
Yeah.
I just remember staying up late doing that type of stuff just to hear that one special song. Now, the Q at the time was playing a lot of Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, a lot of the 70s rock that I was being introduced to, so I started listening to their station, a lot of Molly Hatchet for some reason too, Leonard Skinner. Anyway, they used to have this show called The Lone Star Show. And this show was on Sunday nights and about 12 o'clock at night. And this is the first time I heard some of these bands that was just like, wow. And what it was just normal people, well, just everyday people, not DJs. They would take their record collections or what have you. And,
I think I guess it was. Remember that.
Yeah. And it had to be records. It wasn't CDs at the time. Or maybe cassettes, and they would play the stuff that they liked, and they would take over the show and play like an hour of their stuff that they brought. And there was one night where they were playing this music that I was like, holy smokes. And I knew it was heavy metal, whatever, it was hard rock, but that was the first time I was introduced to bands like Merciful Fate, Slayer, Exciter, Anvil, I mean a bunch of stuff. Oz, I think, was one of the bands. And I recorded that tape, and I listened to that tape, and I started seeking out that music. So I would go to this place called Nostalgia, which is not all that music. It used to be in Montana, a little record shop at the time. And the headstand, RIP, basically, no longer exists. And I would find a lot of these albums either used or these promotional copies for like $1, $2. So I just started picking up everything I could find at the time. And this is all vinyl, by the way.
What about the Tumbleweed?
Oh, Tumbleweed was another one. Yeah, Tumbleweed was
Tumbleweed.
another store. Yes, and Headstand and Tumbleweed were head shops. Yeah, but I didn't know what a head shop was at the time. That they're record stores, but they had records, right? Which later on, anyway, I don't want to go into the whole history of the Headstand. So I would go there with whatever meager, funds that I had, maybe $5, $10, and on these albums were like $1, $2, and I would just pick up whatever looked cool. A lot of times, it had a skull on it, or something.
Oh, they had some good cover.
Yeah, it had some.
The artwork was just wow.
It had some satanic stuff on it, or whatever, or some blood, or chicks with big boobs, or whatever. I would pick up those albums, bring them home, and so I got really into that whole new wave of British heavy metal scene at that time, and I wanted to be in a band, so I got my first guitar, started writing songs. Said, hey, I'm going to become a rock star. This is what I want to do. So I started forming bands or hooking up with people that were like-minded at the time. My first band was probably in high school. It's called Second Coming. And we were all original at the time. We never really gigged, but we did write a bunch of songs. We had a very good lyricist. He wrote all the songs as far as lyrically. His name was Mike Davis. And he was the drummer. So it was a two-piece. And we moved on from each other. And I hooked up with these cats, Chris and John Lawson. I remember Chris Stewart and John Lawson. We were in a cover band called Jack the Stripper, which turned into Staccato Flash. And I was booted out of Staccato Flash and was replaced by the lead singer John. So, yeah.
Yeah, they replaced you with talent.
Oh, yeah.
Raw talent.
Yeah, very raw. Anyway,
Way to go, John.
Yeah.
If you're watching.
Yeah. So, after that, I formed a band. It was with James Gianelli, Gabriel Jimenez, and John Lawson, which was the original drummer of Jack the Stripper. And that was actually the first band that we actually did a demo. It was called 4 Jewels in the Rough. And it was basic heavy metal at the time, a lot of new wave British heavy metal influence on it, a little bit of glam at the time because it was popular, and that didn't go anywhere. That was in the late 80s, early 90s, and I regrouped with some cats from my work at the time. They were co-workers. It was Charlie and Fernie, and we formed a band called MTR. And that's the first band where we actually got a little bit of exposure on the music scene. We did the Fiesta de Flores. We were an opener at that. And if you're old enough to remember the Fiesta de Flores, that was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they would bring in a lot of Latino acts or Mexican acts or what have you. But we actually did perform there. We did Bennigan's twice.
I remember Bennigan's.
So we got a lot of gigs under that. Once again, this was all original music. I was getting influenced a lot by the punk scene, so my style of music was kind of changing, got a little more poppy. So MTR was more like a hard rock band, and then that disbanded. But then we recruited our roadie, what I call him roadie, Mr. Juan Corral, Johnny Corals, and his background was a jazz drummer, and he and I kind of formed, and we kind of started hooking up. I was kind of writing more in the punk genre or maybe even metal punk. I don't even know what it was. It was just what I was writing at the time. And once again, all original stuff. And basically, that's where you come in. So I'm going to toss it off.
That's when everything did a 180.
Yeah.
And put Carol Ann on the map. Well, El Paso map. So, of course, my timeline is a little bit shorter than Jack's.
Yeah, I went long.
So, no, I mean age-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So before I get to Carol Ann, I'm just going to do a little rewind. And so growing up, I was subjected to many different styles. Subjected to My parents listened to oldies.
Disco.
Disco, and my other brother was classical, soundtrack music, and all kinds of stuff like that, opera, and then of course the constant ramming down the metal,
The
constantly
hard
every
rock.
morning,
Yes.
just forcing it down my throat. So I would wake up to that, and just through the years, I just started, knowing what I liked, and from there I just went down a rabbit hole on certain genres, and it was just like, oh God, discovering new music. Like he always says, I'm always hungry. I'm always hungry for music. I'm always hungry for new music, new movies, stuff like that. And so I just went down different rabbit holes, discovering new genres, new styles.
Yeah, you start getting into some really heavy stuff that I wasn't ready for at the time.
Yes,
Because I remember giving you some tapes that I didn't want, like the Hellhammer tape. I was like,
Oh God, Hellhammer was.
Yeah, I know. I
remember that.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I don't
Loved
like
it.
And, and you were start getting to like Bathory and all these bands at the time.
So yeah, before I even got to that, my first 45 was Abracadabra by Steve Miller, and I played the hell out of that. And another one was Ray Parker Jr.
Oh my God, I remember
Ghostbusters.
That. Yeah, the Ghostbusters.
So I was a big fan of that. And so when I scrounged up enough money to buy my own personal vinyl, it was Somewhere in Time, guys.
by Iron Maiden. Yeah,
None other. So I was already headed to that line of heavy metal.
And what I would like at the time was like if I didn't have the money to buy a certain vinyl and you did, I was like, you got to pick up this one. This one's really good because I kind of wanted to listen to it.
Yeah, and so just really quick, back in the day, they had music clubs, which I loved.
Oh, I remember that.
Columbia House, BMG. So we would just order by different names.
Yeah, we had all sorts
and we would
of
get those free
membership,
12,
yeah.
12 CDs, or
Yes,
even
for a
back then,
penny
12
or
albums
something.
for a penny. Just buy 3 at
Yeah.
full price, which were $30.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and that's how I kind of grew my collection. And so, and as far as everything else just kind of found place. So, fast forwarding in the 90s, actually, what, 2000s, early 2000s.
Probably 2000s
Yeah,
at
that's
this
right, early
point.
2000s. When I left out of town, I wasn't here anymore. So when I came back in town, they were just barely starting Carol Ann. You guys
Yeah.
were putting
Yeah.
some songs
Yeah.
down.
MTR disbanded, and
Yeah.
I was hooking up with John, and Juan, and Mimi, and we were kind of like messing around with some of the songs that I was writing.
And so, growing up, I used to sing along with the bands I loved. Back in the day, it was Obituary, Death, all these other bands, some heavy bands I got into in the late 80s and early 90s. And my thing was just to sing. And then when fresh out of high school, I started hitting karaoke, do karaoke all the time.
Yeah, you
so
did.
I started
kinda
training my
still do.
voice.
Well,
Yeah, we still do.
we kind of still do.
So it's fun. It's fun to do karaoke. Catch us on one of these nights we go, and
Yeah.
you might hear us again. But
I don't sing anymore. My voice is
So-
shot, so.
But so they threw the idea around. Hey, why don't you let your brother try out?
Yeah.
And so I did, and it just took off from there. I started writing the songs. I kind of took the band to a different level, to a different direction, more heavier sound.
Yeah, you're very angry at the time, and so
yeah.
So what you brought
Oh
to
yeah, I was angry.
yeah,
I
because
was angry, all right.
Yeah, I was writing songs that were like more poppy, a little more I don't want to say radio friendly because it wasn't, but a lot more catchy, so to
Yeah.
speak. And you just brought this whole different element that I was like, wow, okay, you're pissed off, and we just kind of went with that, and it just kind of changed the style of what we were doing. And then of course, with all these musical influences that were going on at that time too, we even had like that emo song that we wrote.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah. So it was a mixture of
and,
of hardcore. And
oh, just everything.
definitely punk.
Yeah, definitely punk.
Like you said, emo was in there, mixed in a little bit, and hardcore, and I mean all these different elements. Metal.
You know what's really weird is I was listening to one of those old songs, and it even has this elements of doom. It was that Solutions. I forgot the name.
Endless Solutions, Diluted by Water.
Yeah, it has a
But
weird
hey.
doom influence. I was listening to that, and so yeah, we did that. Where's our CDs? I'd like to talk What happened to them?
I don't know where you put them.
Oh,
You
they're
you
gone.
kind of killed that moment for us
I
to kind of
did.
showcase our CDs from back in the day. You know, we did have a demo. And we actually produced the real one in the studio.
Yes, we did a
And-
4-track demo, and
I think there's somewhere around there. But
there's somewhere around there. We did a 4-track demo, and then we did a studio recording of, I think it was like 5 or 6 songs, I believe. And then we kind of put it together as a package to come out with a full length called Scoop. So,
Oh, our producer.
there we go.
Oh, wow. They just magically appeared.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So, yeah.
Showcase that.
Let's showcase this. So, this was the 4-track demo that we did. It was CA for Carol Ann. And then some pictures of us in the back. I had hair. And then this was the full length, which was actually the EP and the new song. So, I don't know.
I mean, nowadays everybody has cool cover art.
Yeah,
but, you know,
we
back-
had that blue.
We had to deal with what we had.
Scoop was the name because I use Scoop a lot as far as the effects. And then finally, we appeared on a compilation album of local bands, and we're the last one. And we had changed the name to Spooky Addicts because,
Last one on CD and first one in the show
yeah,
when we did the show at Mulligan's.
that's right.
So
And we rebranded as Spooky Addicts because we had taken a hiatus. We wanted to hit the scene again. We had a bunch of material written for the direction that we're going. But unfortunately, that's when Andy had his accident. I'm kidding. No.
see, I guess it was memory loss because I don't remember.
I'm messing with you guys.
But no, I just want to say really quick that it was tough for us. You know, back in the day, it was a lot harder to get gigs and promote yourselves out there.
Well, we were all original. For one, I mean, we've always been an all original band. Well, not all original because Caroline did a lot of.
We did covers.
We did covers, but we didn't.
Not the not
Yeah.
so famous covers.
And then we did a lot of one shots. We just practiced a cover.
We did have a lot of material.
practiced a cover for one show and never played it again. We did that a lot. So.
But yeah, like I was saying, it was harder to get promoted out there. You know, put yourselves out there because we didn't have the social media like we do now. Nowadays, there's all these apps and at your disposal. So, you know, it just didn't take off for us. You know.
Where did you guys play when you guys were playing in venues, or not? I guess like not venues, but bars back in those days.
Carol Ann played. We
Played at Surges.
played Surges.
Played at Double Dave's, guys. If
Double
you guys
Dave's,
remember pizza.
Yeah, we
Yep,
did that.
We did a March of Dimes benefit.
They kept on telling us to turn down at Double Dave's. we had kids. I swear to you, there was actually families in that audience, and I had turned down to less than one. I think I was like at half, and it was still too loud for them. But all right.
Bombardiers.
Bombardiers. That's right,
Yeah, we did
Bombardiers and
Bombardiers.
Mulligans.
We did Mulligans.
So it was fun. It was a fun ride. You know, it came to a halt, but, you know, people go to different routes and some, you know, take turns and expand and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would be fun to play again. I would like that. And so just want to touch really quick, you know, and as far as the movie aspect, you know, I grew up watching horror movies and that's my passion is, you know, movies, not just horror, but, you know,
Movies.
movies in general, you know, all sorts of genres. And I just got exposed to it at an early age. You know, my first VHS was Maniac by William Lustig. If you guys know that movie, you know what I'm talking about. And it pushes the violence quotient over the top. And so it just progressed from there. It just went into just expanded into much more. And I remember, quick story, you know, there was a movie he didn't want me to see. I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I
He
told
said,
you.
stay
do not
away,
watch
stay
that
away.
Movie.
And what
Yeah.
do kids do? The opposite. So, of course, I was sneaky enough and eventually got into how to obtain the movie. And I watched it, and it was just like, whoa, I've never seen something like this before in my life. It was a shock to the senses. I felt like I was in that movie, the Stanley Kubrick movie.
Oh yeah, when he has-
Clockwork Orange.
When he has his
Yes,
eyes open,
you've been
and
exposed
stuff.
to
All
countless images of horrific images, and
images and
violence.
such, yeah.
So anyway, so that's why we do this. That's why it's a passion that we do this.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, we've always been part of that scene. We've always been part of the music scene, and we just kind of want to promote some of these bands that we're seeing. We fell in love once again to watch live music.
Yes.
The Rock House is a great venue to see that stuff. Great El Paso bands, and
the frequency too, guys.
oh yeah,
Back in the day,
you'd have to wait for the weekend.
far and few between. Far and few between to see bands. Now it's like, hey, what's going on tonight?
Almost every night.
Yeah, what's going on? Oh, there's a show here. There's a show there. So it's
and not just at the Rock House.
Yeah,
there's
that's what
like
I'm saying.
all sorts
That's what
of
I'm saying.
places now.
There's so many venues and
So many
bars
venues.
that are just hosting these bands, and and it's just it's awesome just to go and have a beer and just watch these bands play, and they're so good. There's so many good bands out there that don't get the recognition that they deserve, and this is kind of what we want to do. We want to tie into the community, the music community, and kind of expose what El Paso has to offer, what our local area has to offer, and surrounding areas as well. And if it takes off and other towns hear about it and they check into the show and they listen to some of the groups that we hype up and expose, then more to it, more power to us and them.
Yeah, and hopefully you might discover something too as far as like some of the movies that we review, because
yeah, you might like it, might not, but at least
at least
you know what's out there, you know what to avoid, and you know what you want to watch, and so like anything, we're not this is our first time trying this. We're trying it out. As a matter of fact, none of the stuff is scripted. We just
Not
kind of
really.
go off the grid. And
No.
just, yeah.
What made you want to start a YouTube channel?
We just we would always have this friendly banter, me and Jack.
Yeah.
And
we
would always host
we would go see a show or watch a movie or listen to a band
gatherings,
and then
family gatherings, or either social gatherings, and we would just have this banter, and everybody would be like, "Man, you guys should have your own show."
Yeah.
So
and we would critique these, whatever, we say, we don't like this, I don't like that, and absolutely so.
And so we've dabbled in we've had our fair share in music and movies, and so it's not like if we're looking up Wikipedia the day before and say, "Oh, we this is that," No, we speak from the heart. We speak from past experiences, and so that's what we want to give to you, the viewers, our views and opinions, whether you like them or not. But you watch it with good intent.
And hopefully you guys enjoy something.
So in conclusion, this is our bio. We just wanted to speak briefly about it and let you guys know what we're all about. And stay tuned for other shows, more surprises along the line. So like always, please like, share, and subscribe.